Hey everybody, UFC 308 on October 26th in Abu Dhabi. I am privileged right now to be joined by the main event fighter, the featherweight champion of the world. And I don't know, I'm going to have to ask him about this later. Maybe the BMF champion, the way he's walking around with that BMF
That
championship belt. Of course, Ilia Topuria. How are you, champ?
very good. What about you, Kevin? How are you doing?
I'm doing awesome. Good to talk to you. I did a little research here, and I just want to read you some numbers that I came up with. Islam
Okay.
Makhachev 32, Bilal Muhammad 36, Dricus Duplessis 30, Alex Pereira 37, John Jones 37, Wiley Zhang 35, Valentina Shevchenko 36, Juliana Pena 35, Alexander Pantoja 34, Merab Dvalishvili 33, and BMF champion Max Holloway 32. Who did I not mention? 27-year-old featherweight champion Ilia Topuria, the youngest champion in the UFC.
I love it. I love it. The fact that I'm the youngest champion in the UFC right
And
now.
you were the youngest by far. And so that leads into my first question. Like, do you feel like, most times they say athletes are at their peak 26 to 30. Seems like maybe MMA, it's a little older. Do you feel like you're still growing into your peak and that you're going to get better along the way?
For sure, for sure. I feel that I grow after every training camp, after every fight. So just imagine how much I am. I'm gonna grow till 32, for example, or 35. I'm gonna grow
Right.
a lot.
What
So
is
yeah.
what has been the growth between your win over Alexander Volkanovski that made you the featherweight championship, and now as you go into this fight with a tremendous fighter in Max Holloway?
So in every training camp, I learn something new that I try to implement in my new training camp. So yeah, the experience I get inside the octagon, outside the octagon, yeah, of course, I feel a different person after every fight.
You're one of the more confident fighters in the UFC. I think to be a successful fighter, you have to be confident in yourself. But you take it to an entirely different, level in terms of confidence. But let me ask you this then: when you beat a guy like Volkanovski, that some people had pound for pound number one, he certainly, when you fought him, was right up there in the top, two or three, depending on which ranking you were looking at. What did that do for your belief in yourself and your confidence of how good you thought you were great? That kind of proved you were great, right?
Exactly, exactly. One thing is that you know in yourself that you are the best fighter in the world, and the other thing is that you prove it. You prove it that you really are the best fighter in the world, and of course, it puts your confidence even mm, higher, right? So to be honest, I always felt as the best fighter in the world, and I always knew that it was matter of time.
You were 15-0 with 13 finishes, 9 of those finishes in the first round. Max Holloway 26-7 with 14 finishes. He has 3 first round finishes on his resume. I want to get your take on his win over Justin Gaethje, because that was one of the best fights I ever saw, and that fifth round was really incredible, and especially when he points to the center of the ring.
Let me ask you something. That was the best fight you ever saw, or the
I didn't say
best
the best fight.
last?
I said one of the best fights.
Okay, one of the best fights you ever saw, or the best last 10 seconds that make you believe that was a great fight? Because if you take apart the last 10 seconds of the fight, I don't think it was a amazing fight. Something that one of the greatest fight in the UFC history or the mixed martial arts history. I don't
Interesting.
think so.
I thought, I think when you look at what makes a great fight, Ilya, and at least in my mind, you're going to have a lot of action, but there also has to be a threat of danger, right? So you knew Max is a featherweight moving up to lightweight, and he's fighting a big, strong wrestler guy in Justin Gaethje. The people were saying Gaethje was too big and Gaethje was too strong for him, and Holloway was fighting against those odds, right? So I think that when I say that, I add that factor in.
But in reality, Max Holloway is bigger than Justin Gaethje. The only
Yeah.
thing is that he cuts more weight than him. But in reality, he belongs to 155 division. He's
Right.
he's very tall. He's not that skinny that people imagine.
Right.
Uh, reality, he's a 155 fighter, so it didn't surprise me at all. To be honest, I don't know what to tell you about that. So he was fighting in his division.
Yeah. So now he's coming down to fight in your division where you're the champion. And this is the interesting thing. I think people don't give you credit maybe for the diversity in your game, right? You have a lot of submissions, you have a lot of knockouts. And so that makes you more difficult, I would think, to prepare for. Everybody knows you got those great hands, but you also have those submissions. Do you think that diversity that you have makes you a heavy favorite against Max, and does that give you the advantage against him?
For sure, because if imagine if in the fight he starts to run around inside the octagon and he didn't stop to exchange punches with me and really fight, I can take the decision to take him down whenever I want. So I if when as soon as I take that decision, I will submit him. As soon as he touched the ground, he will be submitted. So
Do you,
of course.
do you feel like he has good submission defense? I mean, you fought a lot of really, really well-rounded fighters, but you fought Bryce Mitchell, who had great submissions. But do you feel like Max has good submission defense? And if you get in that fight, do you feel like he has the capability of extending the fight for a while?
Look, at the same time, it's like I don't want to take all the credits from Max Holloway because he demonstrated that he's a very good fighter with a lot of experience in his back. But at the same time, it's like he never faced someone like me, never ever.
Right.
So he's gonna realize that in during the fight, that the pressure I'm gonna bring and he's gonna feel in the fight, it's completely different that he felt with any other opponent he had, right? So I don't. I don't know. The moment when I'm gonna take him down, if that happens, if I don't knock him out before, I don't think he's gonna be able to stop my submissions because trust me, I'm very very good in the ground. Even
Yeah.
I think I'm better in the ground than in the striking. The thing is that the people never saw my ground game because I I I didn't need it in my UFC career. Before I had to do it, but in the UFC,
Both of you guys have one fight that I think people loved. Max's performance against Calvin Kattar. Just I mean, he was landing punch after punch, and what a great performance against Kattar. And I know I talked to you about this about your win over Josh Emmett. I mean, that was incredible, striking display, and how Josh Emmett was standing after 25 minutes of that is beyond me. Yes, that was incredible. But I think the one thing people are hoping for with the two of you together is to have both of you fighting at that level in the center of the octagon that way.
let's go. I feel very excited about that fight. I want to see the best Max Holloway ever. So I wanna give that fight to the fans because they deserve it. I prepare myself to fight not for 5 rounds, for 10 rounds. I'm prepared and ready to take what's mine, which is the victory. And still, once again,
Now, how much do you think you have a chance to get that lightweight championship if you defend this? Because Islam had been talking about moving up to 170 with Bilal Muhammad there. They are close. They are not going to fight each other. So now that maybe would open an opportunity for you at some point to move up to lightweight and challenge Islam for that belt and give you a second championship. Is that something after Max Holloway that would be on your mind?
yeah, it's always been in my mind to move up to the lightweight division and fight for the title. I already move up to that division. I have one fight in the lightweight division. So to be honest, at the same time, everything depends on the UFC what they want to do with
Right.
with me, if they want me to keep defending the belt in the featherweight division, or maybe I want to get the call and they're gonna tell me that they want me to move up in the lightweight division and fight for the title, and I will be very happy. And they already know that I wanna make that moment. So we'll see what's the future's holding for us.
I don't know if you saw Dana's reaction. He was asked the other day at the Contender Series about you walking around with the BMF belt, and he was unequivocal, no BMF belt at stake in this fight. Is that disappointing, right? I mean, Max won the championship. He is the BMF champion. You're like, why not be both belts? Is it disappointing to you that it's not at stake?
Not at all, not at all. Everyone is doing his job. If the UFC didn't want to put that belt, or Max didn't want to put that belt in the middle, I don't care. You know, my job is to prepare myself and show up October 26th and fight. So if the UFC didn't take that decision to put that belt in the middle, so what can I do? It
No,
is what it is.
it is what it is.
It is.
So let's wrap with this. Fight's going to ring, bell's going to start. Are we going to see you point to the center and see if Max is willing to engage you in the middle of the octagon?
Exactly. This is what I'm gonna do. Since the first second the fight will start, I will point to the ground and I will stay in the middle of the octagon, and hopefully he will do the same. And we're gonna give to the fans the most excited first 10 seconds of the mixed martial arts in the UFC history. So I
I
can't wait. I can't wait because if that happens, I, you're gonna see the fastest knockout in the UFC history.
Whoa. Well,
Yeah,
we
I'm
look
gonna
forward to
take his lights out. I know that no one could do it in the past, but my mentality always being like, if someone could do it, I can do it, and if no one did it, I can be the first one to do it. So let's go.
Can't wait to see you do that. That is going to be fun. I should mention UFC 308 starts at a special time, 2 p.m. Eastern time, 11 a.m. Pacific time in the United States. Ilia Topuria, appreciate you all, as always. Wish you best of luck. Look forward to seeing the fight, man.
Thank you very much. It's been a
See you
pleasure.
soon.